both in private life, but more importantly in public life. Try to move and push faith out of not just the public square, but out of even people's public lives. What we even see the Obama administration now not talking about freedom of religion. They now start using the term freedom of worship, which how many people think all religion is about is worship? Right? It's what you practice every single day. It's not just the freedom to gather and worship, it's the freedom to go out and live that faith every day. And we see the assault by this president on just that. The freedom of people of faith to go out and live their faith every day. Well, I just think it's important that we have somebody speaking up here as president who's willing to be very public about the role of faith in our society, the role of family in our society, those bulwark institutions. And it's not because I want to be the pastor of the United States. I have no intention and no desire to be the pastor of this country. There are pastors all over here who, you know, you guys can do a little better than you're doing right now, I'll be honest with you. Amen? Right? You can be doing a little better out there in the churches, but I'm leaving that to you. All right? But that doesn't mean I'm not going to stand and fight for the things that are consistent with what this country was founded upon, which was a moral foundation. And I'm very, very public about that because I think that leads to a stronger and freer country. It leads to a stronger economy. It leads to stronger families. It leads to a healthier and wealthier society. And I really think that that's important to understand, that the foundation of what I've been out there talking about is not a religious foundation, but it is a moral foundation. Yeah. And so that's important for us to understand that the issues in Washington, D.C. are not issues of management. They're not a management problem in Washington, D.C. All right? There's a more foundational problem there that goes to the basic concepts of who we are as a people. Yeah. And those are deeply moral questions. And that, you know, we've seen it played out here in the last week with the Obama administration in healthcare. But it's just one of many, many ways that we are and will continue to see it. And one of the things that I think is also important is for me to be transparent about how I approach these issues. And I do, and I'm very transparent about that. You probably can't see there's a teleprompter way in the back. But, I have very good eyes. But I try to be very upfront. Try to tell you exactly what's on my mind, what's in my heart, and why I tackle the issues the way I do. And I approach every issue that I deal with through the two wings I refer to as faith and reason. And I always believe that if your reason is right and your faith is true, God doesn't make mistakes. Right? And, you know, God created this place and created reason. And so, of course, His truth and reason are going to end up in the same place. But we have an obligation as a public official to rigorously advance both. Right? And not just to accept as an article of faith, but to show to fellow people of faith and no faith how this is best and just and right for our society. And so that's just so you understand where I'm coming from. Yes, I'm a person of faith, and I'll discuss, you know, a little bit about my faith here in a few minutes. But I want you to understand that I'm not just a person of faith, because there are people in America who look to as in civil government, not just for what your faith is calling you to do, but what is right according to reason. And so when I talk about, for example, the issue of life, I agree with you. I don't think God will bless this country if this country continues to kill over 1 million children every year in abortion. Yeah. But I also know that abortion is wrong, not because I believe life begins at conception, and taking to that life, innocent human life, is a moral wrong. I know life begins at conception. It is a fact that life begins at conception.
Amen.
It's not a matter of belief. It's a biological fact. That as a human being at the moment of conception, that child is alive. The only difference between that child and any one of you is time. But there's nothing different, inherently different between that child in the womb and any one of us, or that person on life support.
Amen.
They're all dependent. In fact, whatever we are in our life, we're all dependent. It's just with varying degrees of dependency on somebody else or something else to keep us going. And so that's what I want to share that with you. That I want to share that to the American people. That yes, I'm a person of faith, and hopefully you'll hear that these are strongly held faith convictions. But I'm also a person who believes that we have an obligation to go out and be transparent with the American public about why, through God's gift of reason, that these are the right things and the right course for America. Let me share with you just a minute, then I'll be home.